Hello everyone. We're going to pick up where we left off this morning with integrating Pipedrive and Feedbin. Just for a quick review, my general plan is I want to get anything that I've starred that end up in Feedbin to show up in Pipedrive as a lead. So far we've kicked off working on a model for Feedbin. Models, Feedbin lead, and Feedbin organization. And we started working on a Feedbin API class, which is a simplified wrapper around just a typical Guzzle client. So we're not actually using anything that is like off the shelf for this. So Feedbin to Pipedrive as a lead, and we're doing this via the Feedbin API and also using the Pipedrive API as well. So this morning the file that we were working with was just a simple wrapper script that was able to get all of the starred entries in Feedbin, and then we were able to get the details for those entries as well. So I realized that one of the things that I need to do is I want to make sure that we are not actually getting the entries and doing a lot of extra work for entities that already exist. So we have start entry IDs, and so we can do existing Feedbin feeds. And we'll do where we have double check the schema. Yeah, Feedbin entry ID. Where in, and then we can do starred entry IDs. So in theory, since we've never put anything in our database at all, this should actually always be, well, at least for now, this should always be true. Or this, there should not be any of these. So we're going to look at to see if this is actually true. Less, what do we got? Oh, I needed to actually I need to actually do the query, of course. Get, and then we'll do to array just for fun. And let's actually do a die here. Don't have to mess around with less, because less's output sometimes is kind of weird with these colored outputs. Alright, so we got an error. Why do we have an error? Feed entry ID in. Okay. It's possible this does not exist, actually, this helper method. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I guess I can't do that, which is awesome. So we'll do where in keep an entry ID if this works. Okay, cool. So that's sort of what I expected. We shouldn't have any of these. I think the other thing that I would probably end up doing is we only want to get the actual Feedbin entry IDs. We don't care about anything else. So existing Feedbin entry leads. go. is super overkill in terms of naming, but it's also a little more explicit. Clear what we're actually looking for here. All right, so we're not getting anything, which is good. So now what we need is to get a diff of start entry IDs. So we only want the start entry IDs that are not already in the database. So let's actually rename this to all Feedbin start entry IDs. So we don't do this to array. Good stuff here. Instead of IDs, it's going to be collection. I don't know if there's a reverse of a diff, so I want to double check what diff does. Get the items in the collection that are not present in the given items. I think we actually want the reverse of this, because we want the items here that aren't in that. Is there a reverse diff? Alright, so I guess we are going to go back to this. And we are going to make this into a collection. I'll keep in start entry ID. Then we're going to ask this for the diff of these. I believe that will get us where we want. Getting really long. New. I think this returns a collection. Yep. So, double check this. Alright, so now we're kind of back to where we were. But one thing I'm going to do is add this ID to the database. Okay, so we have to give it a state. Okay, so now if we run this code again, if this is working as expected, we should have one less item. So we had 29 before, well, actually 30, but now we should have 29 total. Okay, cool. So we are successfully filtering out anything that we've already added to our system here, which is what we were looking for. There we go. And actually, before we go on, well, we'll wait just a second here. So we're going to now be able to get the entries based on these. Array. So we should be back to where we were. Oh, we should be back to where we were earlier, with the difference that now it's going to be smart enough to stop doing additional work if we already have the information. So at this point, based on our state mapping stuff, I believe we should be able to do. I think we should be able to store these in the database. So I'm going to open up our Feedbin lead, and I'm going to create some constants. So let's do state card, and actually we're going to be able to skip one of the states that I had before. If we look at this, I talked about starred, entry loaded. Basically, this is actually probably where we'll start. So we're going to skip this whole starred stage. We'll do state entry loaded. And then we also have extended content loaded. Content loaded. Let's actually be more explicit. So we'll do Feedbin. Then we have needs org and org added. So we'll do const state Pipedrive waiting station. Organization added. And then the final one was lead added. Actually, it wasn't the final one. We'll do state Feedbin entry unstarred. So these represent the steps that we're going to be walking through on these relationships as we go. And so we're going to start off with this one. So I'm going to remove these from here now because we don't need this documentation saying what this is going to do anymore. All right, so now that we have the entry details, we can go through each one of these. For each details as detail, and create a new Feedbin API instance. So, or no, a Feedbin lead instance. So we're going to do Feedbin lead, create, and so the information that we have right now be the Feedbin entry ID. Entry details, entry detail. Go ahead and double check what the actual output was. Yeah, I think it's just ID. Oh, okay, so I'm going to get the ID, and then we have the bin entry, and this is just going to be the full entry itself. So this is just a JSON blob. So entry detail, and then we need state of Feedbin lead, and we'll do, what was it, entry loaded. Feedbin entry loaded. So I just want to see if this is enough to get one of these entries in the database. So then I'm going to do break. So the first one that goes in should just work. And then the next time through, we should be able to, oh, cool. Cannot use okay, so we have issue in the API, listen, decode, mostly because I forgot to treat these as associative arrays. I wish this were the default. I honestly have never really been a fan of standard class. The number of times I forget this are pretty shocking. Alright, so Feedbin entry details. Let's go ahead and try it again. Cool. And if we go back into MySQL, cool. Okay, so we have the information that we need. One thing that we might need to do is make sure that the Feedbin entry ID is unique, which I hadn't done previously. I'm going to put that there now. I'm going to run the code again and see if we get, let's do select Pipedrive. No. Feedbin, the Feedbin entry ID. Okay, so we've got 284902. If we run the code again, even without any changes, I do believe that's not doing what it's supposed to. But it should give us a new one because the code shouldn't try to bring that one in again. So let's see what happens here. If we end up with multiples, then nope, we brought in 2. All right, cool. So now there's 2 rows. So it's doing what it's supposed to. If for some reason there are IDs that already exist, it's only going to try and process the values for the new ones that aren't already in our system. Actually, I'm thinking about this now. Now that we have some actual data, I'm wondering if this is I'm wondering if this is going to be super inefficient, because this is going to get, oh no, it's not. For a second there I was thinking this was going to get all of the leads that aren't in this list, which would be really inefficient. So never mind, I take that back. Okay, so right now we are creating a lead, which in theory then should kick off the rest of the process. So the question is, how do we want to actually trigger these things? The way that I've worked on this with the other models for synchronized task and Pipedrive webhook and inbound lead message is that I did it with dispatched events. So when the inbound lead message was created, it went and did something else. Now the nice thing about that is that we can sort of control the flow based on how we want to react to those messages or react to those events. The downside is you end up with a ton of listeners that sometimes can be kind of hard to follow. So what am I going to do here? I think for the sake of consistency, I'm going to keep with this, but just know that it might turn into kind of a mess. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new event. And it's a model. Right, we'll do create event, and we'll do Feedbin. Feed created. And I guess this is the other thing that I don't necessarily like. So maybe I'm not going to do it with model events. This would be different than what I had done previously, but like I said, it kind of bothered me how that was actually working. Just because the naming was a little odd. So let's do... Am I hearing myself again? Oh, I am. Awesome. What is this? This is actually treating me as a listener, or a watcher, I think. My bad on this, everybody. Session. Live player. Ah, yeah, see, I gotta turn that off. Okay, cool. Okay, so, this doesn't change a whole lot. The main thing that this changes is where the initial thing actually starts. So we've got jobs and we've got events, and so listeners. So the first event that we have, Feedbin lead, so entry loaded. So I'm going to create a new event for in lead entry loaded. And how are these going to be different than some? Dispatchable serializes model. I think I'm going to use that. But it's already dispatchable, so that's good. And then we're going to add the actual model here, so we'll do in lead initialize these properties. And so in K2, what we're going to do now is Alright, so let's actually create a new static method on Feedbin lead. And let's do and so we're going to do load info because let's see. Oh, it wasn't info, it's entry. Did I rename that wrong? I didn't. Okay, we're going to do entry. I'm actually going to rename this Feedbin lead, and then it's the Feedbin entry loaded. And so we can do load Feedbin entry, and we'll do array entry. And we're going to return static. There we go. And what we were doing previously here is now what we're going to be doing here. So we'll do static create. Entry. Now it's more consistent. So here now we're going to return Feedbin lead, but rather than being restricted to the model events, we actually get to dispatch our own event. And so we're going to dispatch Feedbin lead, Feedbin entry loaded, and we're going to dispatch it with Feedbin lead. Let's going on here? White space found. Okay. Now what's it complaining about? Keyword static must be followed by a single space. New line. Ooh, interesting. It's possible that PHP-CS isn't aware of static here. If that's true, then that's just kind of annoying. But I'll just switch it to this for now to keep this easier. Because honestly, this is totally fine for me, for my project. Alright, so feedbin lead, feedbin entry loaded. I wonder if I might do a little more work on this, because this is starting to get annoying for me to look at. So I'm actually going to move this to bin lead and rename it to feedbin entry loaded. I'm changing my mind. Undo this. First, I thought maybe it would be nice to have that level of move class. Yes. I thought it would be nice to do that, but I think I'm going to leave it like this for now. Duplication of feedbin here was what was getting me thinking that was annoying. But I guess they will all still sort along each other, so I think it'll be fine. All right, so feedbin lead entry loaded. So it's just going to dispatch that event when it's actually after it's actually created. So the next step in the line is that we now need to get the extended info. So this is going to be a listener. So we're going to listen for this event. Create event listener and listener class, and then the event class. So we're going to do event class is feedbin lead bin, feedbin lead, feedbin entry loaded, and we're going to say when this happens, and then we need the actual command name. So handle Pipedrive webhook, blah blah blah, notify, check a kismet. So these are going to refer to jobs. Although I may see what I can do to skip the actual job. So the thing that we're going to look for is get extracted content. Extracted content when feedbin lead entry, feedbin lead, feedbin entry loaded. So get why is this upset? Define class. Oh. Isn't that this, right? Oh. Sure why that helper failed. That's okay. Alright, so in a lot of the other cases, what I was doing is dispatching jobs from here, which just means that you have to create a lot of extra classes. But it's kind of nice because there's a Kismet one is a little more complicated, and finding this logic again might not be super easy to do. Whereas had I just put it in a job, check a Kismet, I would know exactly where it was. So I'm probably going to follow the same stuff that I was doing before, but I just wanted to show the difference between those. Okay, so that means now we need to create a job, get Feedbin extracted content. Extracted content. All right, and a lot of things. Remember if I need all of those. All right, so the constructor, beautify this real quick. Okay. Constructor is going to get a Feedbin lead. And then to handle it, we need to be able to get the Feedbin lead extracted URL. So where was that? Here. It was lower. Here first. Here we go. Extracted content URL. Okay, so we should be able to get this then directly from our object. So Feedbin lead. I don't have the type completion just yet, so that'll be fun. Feedbin entry. Let's just echo this for now. Run it once and see what happens. And nothing happened. Okay, so that's fine. I'm gonna generate the IDE helper real quick first. So that means that the little K2 class or function. So that's the problem here. So rather than calling the thing that's actually doing this, we're just creating the object outright. So we're going to do Feedbin, we're going to do load Feedbin entry from Feedbin entry, and then we should actually see everything happen. Actually, let's do. So since we're in local development, the queue might be doing weird things. So we're going to refresh, and then let's dump. Information. Okay, so to get a dump of some stuff, Pipedrive organization ID, Feedbin entry, so it has the full Feedbin entry. Okay. Feedbin extracted content it doesn't have, and it doesn't look like we ended up getting where we were supposed to. So, oh, because we aren't doing anything here. Makes sense. this is the part that just needs to pass on and decide to do something else with it. Interacts with queue, should queue. And again, this isn't actually going to do anything in our case because it can't really. So we're going to do get. We're doing the front half of this now. Doing the actual action part. So get it, and we're going to dispatch, and we need the actual Feedbin lead entry. So we're going to get that from our event. I've updated everything to default to private when I do the initialize, which doesn't work in these cases very well. So Feedbin lead. Now if we run it again, see what happens. All right, so we still get the output there. And now we actually have the extract content URL. Good. All right, so now we need to actually get this information. So that would be inside the job, and we can do rel equals and go back to our API client. Basically, maybe. So there could be an exception, that's fine. And then so we have the Feedbin lead, so we can do Feedbin lead. Just extracted content. Yeah, there we go. JSON decode. Fonts, get content. Save it. So the other thing that we need to do now is actually we need to actually change state. So sort of like we did with the initial thing here, we're going to do the same thing. In lead, we're going to create a new function that handles this workflow for us. So do public function load Feedbin extracted. And this needs to be place all of those extracted, not extended. So load Feedbin extracted content array extracted content. So we're going to move this logic that we started in here. This, I don't know if we necessarily want to do save here, but I guess so. We'll go ahead and do that. I don't always like that sort of thing happening, but so we don't need this. Instead, we're going to do Feedbin content. Actually, we can do void. Feedbin lead, and we can do load Feedbin extracted content, pass in this information. Call it good. Because this should just work. Now, this doesn't really help well, or this doesn't really go well if there's some sort of error in here. So what I'd like to do is probably wrap the whole thing in a try block. And catch, throwable, and I call this again and save it with null. Because I think I'm going to try and make the rest of the code be okay regardless of whether this actually causes a problem or not. Or whether or not there is extracted content. So if there's extracted content, we're going to use it. If not, we'll rely on the regular content. So this, we're still going to maybe be able to leverage some of this. And then that also means, in theory, that we should always be able to throw the next message or the next event. So we'll do feedbin we'll create a new event. Feedbin corrected content loaded. Again, we're going to do the same thing we do here. Okay, so we didn't do the same. Okay. Go back to Feedbin lead, and let's just go. Okay, cool. All right, so the next step from here would be acting on this state. Actually, that's a good reminder because that was supposed to I need to set that as well. So this state equals static feedbin expected content loaded. There we go. So the next step is going to be looking for the Pipedrive organization. So let's go ahead and look at create Pipedrive. Look at this real quick. Yeah, so this was actually something that I've already sort of done to try and find leads and something to try and find things like persons and organizations. So I'm going to probably reuse some of this. Where did I call that from? So I'm going to do what I did here, which was a more generic version of a listener. I'm just going to call it, I'm going to call it handle and then the event that we were just kicking off. So handle extracted content loaded. And then we're going to do a little bit of logic here. Oh, I hit enter way too soon there. Alright, so at this point, oh, I needed to put the actual event name in there, but that's it. So from here, I'm going to have access to the event, or the actual Feedbin lead that we have to this point. And so, let's see. I'm going to create a new function here. Derive station title. Organization name, right. And this is where we can be smart based on what information we have. So take a look here again. So we have Feedbin entry ID, or Feedbin entry and Feedbin extracted content. Just do something simple here. Just run it as is. Okay, so we did get some extracted content from this. So, so this is where we can get the domain, which is what I like a lot. And then we also have the title, and of course the link. But if we look at the raw information, see how those are different. So title is the same. There is no notion of a domain here. I could probably write some code specifically to get this information from the URL, from Feedbin entry. I like the fact that there's an excerpt, so I might actually use the excerpt instead. Or maybe I won't, I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna do name equals
looking for answers, but I'm blinded by the light. I'm lost in the music, and I stay here for the night. I promise I'll be gone in the morning.
So that we can actually make sure we have something real there. And we'll do extracted content, domain. I think for now, I'm just going to do domain or Feedbin. So if for some reason something comes through and I don't have a legit domain, I'm going to go with Feedbin. Since I don't need this, I probably don't need that either, but it'll be fine for me for now. So handle Feedbin lead, Feedbin extracted content loaded.
You know when you keep running, but your legs are standing still. It's like you're stuck in a nightmare, but you keep doing it for the thrill. Well, this is
Alright, so the next bit is I need to look for Feedbin organization, where name is this name first, or create, no, first. So if we have a Feedbin organization already in existence, we will switch to organization added. Otherwise, we need to actually add an organization. Let's code this workflow first. Feedbin lead, and we will do. So we're going to reorder the.
we stand and watch the world go up in flames. We fight for love until we die in vain. When the sky is getting dark and we're broken in our hearts, when we build our own demise, from the ashes we will rise. When the world is falling down, will you be my solid ground? When the world is falling down, will you be my solid ground?
So let's derive organization name. It's actually this job here. This. This can be simple for now.
Off the edge till the waves
And then let's look.
we say our goodbyes to the tides that might have been. When the sky is getting dark and we're broken in our hearts, when we build our own demise, from the ashes we will rise. When the world is falling,
And that makes this code a little easier. So we can do drive organization. Ah. I guess that's fine. Ooh. So the logic for determining what this is going to look like lives in Feedbin lead, which is sort of where I think it belongs anyway. So Feedbin organization. If this organization exists, then what we need to do is call event Feedbin, and we'll do find Pipedrive organization. We'll do Feedbin organization, Pipedrive org ID. So now we need to create this method. Int this Pipedrive organization ID, this Pipedrive organization ID, state is going to be static state organization added. I'm actually going to rename this, so we're going to do organization sign and here the other bridge of this is where it gets a little more tricky, because we need to trigger an event to go create the organization and then eventually come back, or we just do it right here. And I think that right now what I'd like to do is just do it right here. So I'm going to switch this to if not, and then this is always going to happen, because in theory we should always be able to create this organization. So I'm going to go back to this other logic that we were looking at before, where I was looking up search results based on person email, and search data is null, then we add the person. But what I want to do is do this more specifically with organizations, not people. So search results searches the entire system for person email. Types organization, lead details equals organization ID. I don't think this is ever going to happen, but it doesn't really matter. So we now need to have the Pipedrive client brought into our handler here. So we're going to do just going to get the Pipedrive client. And we're going to ask for Pipedrive. And let's look for organizations. Search. Is that what we were using? Search results. Search. Search results. Search on it. Okay, search. And for the term, I'm going to go double check, see what our Pipedrive API says about this actually. I know that search result, one of these was deprecated. Yeah, search results is deprecated in favor of items search. Let's see here. On a separated string array type. Okay, so item searches, search. What was that other one? Search field. Field type, field key. Item search. Item type. Okay, so I can search from organization, search from field, organization, and name. So it's going to look specifically for any organizations that have the name of the derived organization name. So, and the response from that is a response dealing with that. If we get a response, I don't know what we do otherwise, which is fine. We don't always have to know right now. So if it is successful, we are going to then be able to see, or we should be able to see the data. So dump s response get data. Dump see what happens. I don't need that. My bad. Okay, so we're getting an error from where? Pipedrive related. Feedbin lead PHP. Loaded. Load Feedbin entry. Up to read property error. It is a Pipedrive related thing. So searches. Switch to Okay, so it looks like there's an actual error here that I'm not found. Oh, interesting. Wait, error on null. I think the problem here is that there were no search results, which, right? I would think that this should be fine, actually. This is getting a 404. I'm going to open this up. I'm fine that it's giving me these errors. Correlation ID, Cloudflare. Connection. Why did it give me two of these? Be sure I have an actual organization named Dev. So if this gives me the same 404, then I know something weird is up. If it doesn't, okay. Still got a 404. I wonder if this item searches must be empty then. Do stations. Search. Just do that. Build simple with says, wouldn't content be null because you have a not is set content in your if statement? I can double check that. In which file were you seeing that in? I can go double check it. Not success. Fonts get content. So we're getting further, which is still not working well. Fatal error. Okay, so success does get items. Okay, so this is getting so The other file that you added the DD in. Okay. Right here. Ah. Yeah, so the funny thing about this is this isn't my code. This is actually the vendor code, so, or it's in vendor. So you are correct that if there is no content or the status code is not redirect or it is successful, so if any of those things are true, then it's going to do this. So we would probably do something, or we should do, well, there's a lot of badness in here because content is, line 92 just looked weird. Yeah, so there's two problems in the same place. So we've got content error and is set content error, use it, otherwise it's an unknown error. So we need this same thing here. So we'd at least get an actual exception from what we were doing rather than the nonsense we were getting otherwise. So here we should actually get a proper exception now. So, oh no, it's still, oh, is set content error. Still complaining. Or no, this is actually right. So I think it'll say, yeah, unknown error, which isn't very helpful to us. So yeah, but this would be a good patch to send. So let me see here. I've actually sent a patch to this project in the past. Source HTTP requests. I mean, it still doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense here, but at least it doesn't throw an exception in the process of throwing an exception and making things really awful. So I'm going to put this as a PR, I think. All right. Oh. Oh, wait, no, that is origin. Never mind. I forgot that I'd actually put my own. I forgot I'd cloned my own. Usually I try to clone the actual repo first. In this case, I'm too fast. Okay. All right, so this doesn't solve the fact that we are still having weirdness, but it's a little better. Dump success response, get data. The other thing about this code is sometimes it apparently get data. Yep. And data. Was I handling that before? Let's get data. It was supposed to be an array. Thanks for your help, by the way. Build simple with. Alright, so we're still getting something weird. Like we must be getting an array, but the actual data is under items. Must be a difference in search results versus not. Search person email. I just want to see if it does actually behave differently depending on the endpoint, which seems to be the case right now because, oh no, oh yeah, okay, so this method doesn't exist, so this is actually good. That's some good, interesting things. Let's do titles, deflagged out. Okay. So it looks like it is actually different in how the endpoints are actually working. So let's try search item. No, item searches. See if this gives us a 404 again. Yeah. So there must be something completely wrong with the way that the item searches are set up, because this is just not working right. Item searches, enabled search, field. One second here. Okay. So I ran the code, and this is supposed to give us information back. Doing a get on item search. not actually working. Doing call form request. If this is just straight up doing the wrong thing, then we probably don't have much that we can do here. But if it's an easy fix, so it is doing item searches with term Feedbin. Oh, so it's doing two. Actual derived organization name. Problem might be that that trailing slash. See what happens if we get rid of the trailing slash. Nope. Oh, wait a minute. Item searches. Okay. I wonder if that was the other one. Search results. Yeah. Okay. So the actual problem here, probably the logic it's using. Get the endpoint, build endpoint, get endpoint, get source. So okay, so item searches, source. Getting that. Get resource. Builder, set target, build endpoint for options. I think the problem is that it's assuming a pluralized name when that's not correct. So, however, it's determining endpoint here. But this is the weird thing with this is that it's just getting get resource. How does it get the builder? So that's the problem. Item searches as a resource. Where is this set? Builder OAuth or new builder? Target. Not empty resource, use that, otherwise use default. Okay, so target must be, it's the default, so let's see here. Is that something I can set? No. Get type target. Args. Okay, args 0. Alright, so maybe I can do this. So if I do search, no, let's still do more. Alright, I'm going to be done with this. All of this stuff that's going on here, I just need to worry about that just because we do have an alternative here, which works-ish. We just need to treat the data a little differently. So we've got search data, items, I believe. Let's go ahead and run it again like this, actually. Okay, so success, we have items, there's an array of standard class instances. So search data, items, zero, item. See if that works. Cool. Alright, so it still can't do anything with it, but that's fine. But it does look like, we'll check the success values. Yeah, so we're able to get there. And then I can get names, so color, actually it's the ID that we need, so we'll do an organization ID. We're going to create a new one, so we'll do Feedbin organization equals create and Pipedrive organization ID. Going to be we're going to need the name. the derived organization name. And let's get rid of these things. And the other thing I want to do, get rid of my vendor directory. So that I have a fresh version of everything. So I think I have maybe another 30 minutes to work on this before I have to take a break. This little bit here has been more frustrating, taking way longer than I thought it should. I had expected it to, but that's the way it goes sometimes. This will just make sure that I have the actual correct dependencies installed. The downside of editing stuff in Vendor is sometimes you forget. It can be problematic. Okay, so we've got an error here. Response, get data, items, 0 item. So that apparently was a problem. So I thought this might actually be the case. So undefined index array key 0, which is awesome. So if there's success, that doesn't necessarily mean that it found anything. So we're going to do if count of items is greater than 0, then we're going to do this. Otherwise, we need to actually create something. I keep getting this error. Method call provides one parameter. That's because of this. I don't know. I think it's because it doesn't know that this is an array. Yeah, so this is the problem. It ends up in function unit test. Alright, well, I'm gonna have to figure that out some other day. I'm tired of that popping up and causing me issues, but I'm not gonna do anything about it now. So we're gonna look at $item0, get the actual item, and this should actually allow me to create a organization, a Feedbin organization from one that already exists. And then later we're going to assign it to Feedbin organization. The other side of this is that we need to create the organization, which is what we were doing. Create Pipedrive lead. Person is this. We want to add a person. How do we do organizations? Leads add. Do the same thing. Drive station. And we're going to do derived organization name. And I need to double check to see if what else is required. Add organization. Okay, cool. So I don't actually need anything else. Awesome. So what this is going to do for me is, oops, that. What this is going to do is create the organization itself, and then we can create it here as well. So we're going to create a Feedbin organization using the organization's ID. And if organization is success, if add organization response is success, we are going to do organization details. Where do I have that already? Okay. So we get the response. We're only going to do this inside here. So okay, so this should then, if we find an organization with this name, we're going to use it. Otherwise, we are going to add an organization with this name and use that. If for some reason there's an error, I don't know what's going to happen. So what I think we need to do is else. This would effectively stop this lead from being able to be added. There'd be nothing that could kick this off again. So I guess I just need to I think maybe I can get what was it, response? Response. would maybe give us a little bit of info here. So go ahead and try running it. Okay, so interesting. So we've got Feedbin, extracted content loaded as our state. We have the extracted content, we have the feed. So we're not, we didn't save it, which is the problem here, I think. So we need to this save. Actually, we can do this. It'll be interesting. So we'll do await Pipedrive. This still is going to set this potential lead in essentially unrecoverable state, because I don't expect to be able to fix this very easily at this point. Let's do. Also, we don't have a Feedbin organization, so we can wrap this if Feedbin organization, then do these things. My guess is if we look at MySQL, we might actually have some values. Yeah, so we do. We work remotely as a organization now, which means Pipedrive seems to think we work remotely. Cool. So we can see that it actually created we work remotely as an org, but it didn't actually store anything against it. Feedbin leads 23. So I'm actually going to delete these. I don't remember how many there were total. I think there were maybe 30. But this will start us over again, essentially from scratch. So let's run this again just to see what's here. Okay, so Pipedrive organization assigned, so that's the new state. So this is what I was expecting. We just weren't saving the value before. And then we have Pipedrive organization ID is 19. I'm guessing that means this was not we work remotely. Yeah, this was in WP hired domain. So if it worked as expected, I should be able to look for WP hired. No, interesting. Okay. Let's look and see then. Oh, www.wph hired, or WP hired. Interesting. Didn't know that it wouldn't be able to look for that. That's interesting. I was able to look for partial, but can't look for like the end of a string. Or you can, and maybe my Pipedrive was just slightly outdated. Okay, so currently there's nothing on WP hired except this. And so let's go ahead and try and finish this in the next 15 minutes. So the next thing we need is Feedbin lead, Feedbin extracted content loaded. So this is actually going to be assigned. In event Feedbin feed Pipedrive station. Oh. And so this is going to be taking same setup from here. Dispatch this time of the new station. Oh. Okay, but we're not actually going to do anything on this one just yet. Okay, so now we need to do something on this value. This logic is way more complicated than any of the other listeners that we worked on, but I think that's probably fine for now. For listeners, now we're going to do create Pipedrive lead when organization was assigned. We can't create the lead until the organization was assigned. Listener. Piece that I missed last time. Alright, so now we have a new listener. We are going to need Pipedrive again, so all of those. And it really like this class name thing, because it doesn't look like it actually brings the class in correctly. Okay, so now we just need to copy, create Pipedrive lead, add with lead details, so details. So we need a title. We're not going to have a value, but we will have an organization ID. And the organization ID comes from our event. Oh. Feedbin lead, Pipedrive, organization ID. And title is the only other thing that we really need. It's add a lead. Nope, add a lead. Property is required unless org ID is specified. Yeah, so we need to have either a person or an organization ID. Otherwise, the only other required value is title. So we'll do title, and we haven't done anything with the title yet. Let's go back into Feedbin lead, and let's do something similar to what we did with the derived organization name. Let's do derived lead title. Extracted content title or in entry title. We'll do untyped, which means here we're able to do derived organization.
Myself if I write rhymes, but I'm lying to myself, and I know that it's a sign that the more I try to sing and the more I ink it down, I get further in my head.
All right, so that's going to be there. We're going to get a response. Response is success. Data, new standard class. I'm going to put this on the event, but really we're going to do this in the feed. So we'll declare the feed ID. So Feedbin lead, and add another one of these that have assigned Pipedrive organization ID. We're going to do lead added, add Pipedrive lead, Pipedrive lead ID. Cool. And then Feedbin new event, so I'm gonna ignore this for now. Pipedrive lead. Awesome. And then need two of those. Okay, so what we have now is the actual lead added, and we can be done. And in all other cases, let's go ahead and add another state, sort of like we do with the org, and we'll say state drive waiting feed, and this will be more like a error state, similar to what we had up here. But eventually I'll be able to go in and maybe recover from some of these. Feedbin late Pipedrive organization. Okay, so now, in theory, this should be enough to at least get the leads showing up, which might be a good place for this to stop since I need to be done in 4 minutes. Happens here. Oh, got an error. Add Pipedrive lead. It gave us an error. Why? It's pretty deep in the call stack. Argument 1, Pipedrive lead ID must be of type int string given. Awesome. Pipedrive lead added. Pipedrive organization. Ooh, we got a lead ID of 0. So something didn't quite work right here. Data ID. Dump data. But I'm feeling really positive about this because this looks like it's really close. Oh. ID is archived. Leads apparently. All right. Guess this isn't the worst thing ever. Create leads. Apparently, yeah. The leads are new for Pipedrive, which means that they're doing different things. And one of those different things is using a UUID for their IDs. So default def fresh. What fresh does is basically starts everything from scratch. So I'll run this again and hope for the best. Ooh, param int is a string because we just forced it to be a string, or forced it to be an int, when in reality it's supposed to be a string. Sometimes types are more frustrating than not. Well, we're really close. Standard class cannot be converted to string. Okay. We do have a dump of data. Load Feedbin extracted content. Great. Insert into FP. I can find where this is real fast. I think I need to be done though. Fast. Get Feedbin extracted content. Line 38. Feedbin lead. Dispatch. Sense. All to create. It is insert into FE.
Tell a couple jokes and enjoy the view. I'll be here for you. Don't you know that I'll be here for you?
So extracted content is all the further we're getting. So feedback, extracted content, load, feedbin, extracted content. So it's in whatever handles that. So graphic content loaded. So it's somewhere in here. Probably. Item ID. It's things like that that make me wonder how it worked to begin with. Doesn't seem like it should have. Okay. Pipedrive organization 21. JavaScript is not available. That's interesting. Twitter.com. All right, so either way, I believe that means we should have some leads. Yes, we do. All right, awesome. All right, so JavaScript is not available is something else that needs to be done better, I think. I can see that it's connected to the Twitter organization. This one is We Work Remotely. This one's going to be another Twitter one, I believe. Yeah. Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, I think this is a good place for me to take a quick break. If you joined today, thank you so much. I may be doing some stuff later today. I don't know, or I may just finish this up on my own after the fact. But either way, I appreciate it. Hello, Anime Dude. Tuning in just as I'm tuning out. My bad. So thank you for joining. Hopefully you can follow and join in another time. Otherwise, have a great rest of your weekend if you're still in Sunday. Thanks. Bye.